Hey everybody, so Jon David had a 10 out of 10 day, and if you're wondering how does he keep having all these 10 out of 10 days, it's because again, he's going through withdrawals, but they're to be expected, and he's making progress forward, and not just like one step, but multiple steps, which is unlike Jon David in his course so far. And that's one of the things that we've talked about with the providers quite a bit, with multiple providers, and it is more so on the fact that we think that him getting the stent and dealing with that issue basically has addressed a lot of the other things that were happening. So a lot of the other things seem to be symptoms that were coming from the aorta not being big enough, and now that they've done the stent and that's kind of addressed the underlying problem, then all the other things seem to be getting better. And again, we've kind of gotten wary of Jon David with him having these things, and we're kind of like almost waiting for the other shoe to drop. But given that we are now 17 days past his stent placement and we really haven't had backward days during that time, it seems like what I just said of that the aorta was the underlying cause, and since it's been addressed and at least to this point fixed, it looks like we're going to be kind of steadily, granted there's small steps forward, but making steps forward going toward where we want to go and having a more traditional recovery route. That being said, today's word of the day is vasodilators, which are some things that he's been on quite a bit, honestly, and they are primarily used in order to reduce resistance or help with blood pressure. So for example, the one that he's on right now is called nicardipine, and it is meant to vasodilate, vaso meaning like your vascular system, your blood work, your blood vessels, and then dilators being dilation, making it bigger, kind of like when you get your eyes dilated, your pupils get larger. And so the vasodilators help the blood vessels to expand, and that actually reduces the amount of resistance that the heart has to push against, squeeze against, and so it helps with the blood pressure. If you're wondering why this is important for him, think of it again with talking about the hypertrophy in his heart and it being like this really thick, stiff muscle because it's so hypertrophy, it's gotten like really buff. If you use these things like the vasodilators to help reduce the essentially resistance or friction that it has to go against, it helps it be basically like less weight. So for those of you who lift weights, a good analogy for this would be like if I take and bench 200 10 times versus benching 135 10 times, it's going to be easier on my muscles for 135, and also it's going to make them more lean and less hypertrophy than if I do the 200. The 200 I'm going to get bigger and a lot of times stiffer because my muscle is getting bigger. And so that's the kind of the thinking behind it of your heart is a muscle, and so then if it's less resistance, then you can help with some of that again what they call afterload reduction of using these vasodilators. In the short and skinny terms, it's basically if he gets too hypertensive, meaning blood pressure is too high, you can use these vasodilators to help lower it down. That's the short and skinny of it. But he has had a good night and then a really great day. He went from 0.5 on his Milrinone to 0.25. He went from 2 liters on his high flow to 1 liter. He is going to have an echo tomorrow to kind of follow up with the Milrinone wean. He also had a 20% wean on his methadone from 1.0 to 0.8. And he had his feeds increased from 22 calories to 24 calories, which is where it should be parked for now, and then at a later date possibly discussing maybe going back down to 22, just depending on how his reflux is. Reflux is not really an issue right now because he's got that Repogel in, and so it's kind of taking off any like reflux or anything for him. Once it comes out, then it would be more of a discussion of, if we should keep him at 24 calories if he's having really bad reflux, or bringing him back down to 22, but that'll be a game time decision when we get there. Right now, he's getting the extra calories and putting on the extra weight, and we're happy about it. But he had some REM sleep today, which was fun to watch with the rapid eye movement. He also got some snuggles in with Mama Kay and with me, and he was been much more awake and alert, given that he's coming down quite a lot on his sedations over the last 2 weeks. He also has been whining and crying a little bit. His voice is coming back from having the intubation tube come out and getting extubated. His vocal cords were weak and also sore and agitated from where that tube had been in. And so now that it's out and we're a couple days out from having it out, it's starting to get, he's not so hoarse anymore, quiet, it's starting to get louder. And then Hunter had a fun day. He rode bikes with CeSe and hung out with Mallory and got ready for preschool. And Mallory actually did the Labor Day yard sale, which is something that started, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, where we basically have yard sales on Labor Day. And so she hopped in and did it this year because there were some things that we needed to kind of do some fall cleaning around the house. And she hopped in and did some yard sale stuff, which was fun. And then I came back from Maddie and Aaron's house, stayed here, snowed with Jon David, and then went out with a buddy whose name is James out to Chapel Hill, or I should maybe say Chapel Bill, because there was somebody who was really excited about it and had a banner hanging out, although the game did not go very well tonight. But it was fun being in Chapel Hill and going around with him. We went to Top of the Hill, he's not here, and Carolina Brewery, and while we were at Top of the Hill, he got me to try the signature blueberry. So it was fun going out. Definitely gonna have to go back again during basketball season. Be able to take Hunter, but we'll take him to an ice cream shop and not any of those places I just named. But all in all, it's been a good day. It was definitely nice getting out this weekend and going and seeing some friends and just kind of getting away from the hospital. And thank you to Mama Kay for allowing me to do that. I think it was a symbiotic trade-off since she got her snuggles in with Jon David, but I really do appreciate it. But if y'all would pray for these 3 things: 1, that Jon David will continue tolerating his weans and that his echo will come back good tomorrow. 2, for all those who've lost loved ones, but especially those who've lost children. And then 3, if you'll pray for the kids and families who are battling congenital heart defects, because again, this is not a fight that, you have one surgery and you're done. This is a lifelong, you get monitored lifelong. There's no cure for this, so it's not like you get a one and done treatment. It's, yes, you have surgery, but then after that, there is a continuous monitoring system that you will do for the rest of your life. And so if you would just pray for these families, because it's always stressful. Just going through all of this is just stressful. Definitely here in the ICU is stressful, but after this, it is still stressful being at home, which we have not gotten there yet. But just from friends that we've talked to, being at home and having the monitoring and just knowing that, your child is at higher risk for a lot of things just because they are battling congenital heart defects. But that's all I got for y'all tonight. Hope that y'all continue to choose hope daily. Y'all have a good night. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow. Jon David, right, bye-bye.